To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So I thought today I would do something a little bit different. I don't usually do videos like this because this is a vlog channel, V-L-O-G channel. I try to keep it where, okay, this is what I'm doing today, and hopefully I can inspire you to live your dreams. Take into account that this is an off-grid channel and I live my dreams, and hopefully you can live your dreams, whatever that is. I suspect a lot of it has to do with off-grid living, but today I thought I would do a little different video. I feel like we are maybe coming to another crisis in the country. It just seems like it's that time that we need to have a big crisis so the politicians can swoop in and save us from ourselves, because, you know, of course we don't know anything about how to take care of ourselves. I've been trying to explain to you how to live a more self-sufficient lifestyle. I know there are people out there who are saying, oh, you can't live self-sufficient. I get it. It's hard to live self-sufficient. I'm saying more self-sufficient. Yes, in the end, there are things you're going to have to buy. But self-sufficiency is a goal of mine. I'll never reach it, but I'm always striving for it. And it keeps me motivated. Today, I thought I would do a video where I can talk about backup systems, where you can be more self-sufficient, more self-sustaining. Of course, you're not going to ever get to the point where you can. I'm going to go through a list of things that I think maybe you could consider, just in case. Now, see, I'm not a prepping channel, but things do happen in our lives that we have to be ready for. I don't consider it prepping, I'm just saying it's smart. Prepping is hoarding in my mind, and I don't want you to be a hoarder. I just want you to have a backup plan just in case something happens. If you live in a hurricane area, obviously folks who live in a hurricane area know what it's like to live in a hurricane area, and they have certain provisions set aside in case that happens. I know my dad lives in a hurricane area. He's got the generator, and he's got a well that he can hook up to the generator, switch it over easily. So he's prepared for an event of a hurricane. As you know, I feel like that eventually we are going to run into what's called a hyperinflation situation. So one of the things I would suggest is having a more self-sustaining food source. Gardening would be a situation where I think if you could can your vegetables, grow a big garden, can your vegetables, raise some sort of livestock. I know a lot of people live in a more urban area and can't raise chickens or pigs or cows or anything like that. But of course you might be able to raise rabbits. And rabbits is a highly reproducible item. They reproduce real quick. I've had rabbit. I used to raise rabbits. They do taste like chicken, and I know that's quite cliche to say, but they do. It tastes like chicken, so there's really no difference. You could make rabbit soup and it tastes just like chicken soup. So as you know, we've been canning tons of food. We canned 40 something chickens, and look how pretty that is. Isn't that just amazing? That is just beautiful. And this was produced back on September. I just grabbed one off the top shelf. We do what's a first in, first out thing, where the ones on the bottom shelf we eat first, and then the top shelf drops down. That way we're always eating the oldest food first. We've been canning chicken, pork, and beef. We've also canned some bacon. So anytime we find sales at the store, we try to grab the sales and we can it. Now, like I said, we raise chickens and we can the chickens. This next coming year, we're going to try to raise pigs and can the pigs, of course, because we don't have a lot of refrigeration storage. Now, when we talk about storage, then we walk right back into, okay, now what happens if you run out of electricity and you got all this food in your freezer? Could go bad. So if you're going to rely on a freezer source, you're going to need a backup electric source. Solar panels, a generator, wind generation, something like that. Now with a generator, you're going to have a large quantity of gasoline. I have a little Champion 2000 watt generator. Runs about 11 hours on a gallon of gas. So it could run several weeks running a refrigerator, but that is not the most efficient. So if you live in a hurricane area and the entire area doesn't have gasoline, you're gonna have to take that into consideration. And can you store that much gasoline? Then you could get into solar panels or even a battery bank. Now, battery bank would make more sense than running your generator all the time. You could run your battery bank into an inverter and run your freezer off the inverter, and then your generator could charge the batteries back up using a car battery charger. When people say I have a generator, you might have a generator, but the gas is going to be the hardest part about that. So you want to be able to store the energy and use it later, like in a battery. Now, the other thing with a freezer, it's not highly recommended, but what you could do is shut it off for a while, shut your generator off, shut your freezer off for a while. I don't know, maybe go by 2 hours with it all off and then turn it back on in 2 hours, let it all refreeze and shut it off. That might be a smarter way to conserve gasoline on your generator, because you got to remember, your freezer will turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, but your generator, on the other hand, keeps running using that gasoline. So if you could learn the cycle of your freezer, you could shut off the generator at the same time. Heat, obviously, if you live in an area where it gets real cold and there's a possibility of an outage of gas or electric or whatever it is you use, you're going to need heat. Now, I, of course, completely recommend wood heat. If you had a fireplace or a wood stove in your house, you could even buy firewood and store it, and then when you need it, you could use it. Of course, if you live in an urban area, they may not let you have this unsightly scene here. So firewood would be my first suggestion. On the other hand, there are other options you could use. You could use propane, little propane tanks. Maybe get a Mr. Heater portable buddy, get a blue flame heater. Now, of course, if you use those kind of things, you're going to want to make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. We have 2 in our house. Just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I ran the buddy heater just for a few minutes because it wasn't cold enough to really start the wood stove, but it was getting a little chilly in the house. It got down to 69 degrees, and I just wanted to knock off the chill. So I let it get up to 75 with the little buddy heater. Now, in a bigger house, you'd only be able to do 200 square feet. So basically a room is all you could do. Our house is 196 square feet, so the buddy heater heats it up okay. I would imagine if you're not well insulated in your house or you have a drafty house, the buddy heater isn't going to keep up. So the smaller the room, the better. But that way you could use these little 20-pound propane tanks. You could buy them from the gas station and be able to use them. You'd have to have a storage of those propane tanks. Kerosene heat is another thing. Kerosene is a lot more expensive than propane, but you could buy those little kerosene heaters at Home Depot and they heat really well. Kerosene you can buy at like Ace hardware store. Cooking stove. What I would suggest is getting yourself a Coleman camping stove. I have 2. Carolyn uses one as her primary stove, and we have another one just for canning our food, like this here. That way, when we're canning, we're not tying up the main stove. Something that I've never used and probably would never use, as a matter of fact, I just asked Carolyn this morning, does she want one? And that's a solar oven. Now, the reason she doesn't want a solar oven, I'll explain in a minute. But the solar oven, you could take your meats, put it in the oven, let it cook all day in the sun. I would suspect, though, that you're going to have a sunny area. Here in Missouri, it's sunny during the summertime quite a bit. But in the winter, there's more cloudy days than sunny days. Happens to be a sunny day today, so we're fortunate, but I don't know how well the solar oven would work. Our solar panels are okay, but I got tons of solar panels to make up for it. What Carolyn does on it, though, is she uses wood heat. So you can see that she's got a stack of firewood here that she uses for her cooking setup. So she's got her oven right here. This is her oven. She puts it over 2 tire rims and she gets it up to 400 degrees, and then she can put whatever she wants in here. It works just like an oven. I mean, it's fantastic how well that works. A lot of things that she can cook on this little right here. So she just moves the oven out of the way. She can cook her food like a frying pan or whatever right here over the fire. Now that works well if you don't live in the urban area. Now we can't do it, but you could buy a wood stove inside like we have and cook on top of it. Carolyn has made cornbread on top of it, but it just doesn't get hot enough to even boil water. I got it up to 500 degrees the other day and it started to simmer the water. The problem is, our problem is, it gets so hot in the house that running that stove at 500 degrees, it'll cook you out in no time. That might be something else you want to consider, is cooking outside. That way, you're not throwing all these harmful gases in your house. You know, if you're running a Coleman stove, those are pretty dangerous. It's something that you're going to want to use outside. If you do use your Coleman stove, which I highly don't recommend, but some people do it, make sure you have your carbon monoxide detectors. Okay, another thing you're going to want to have is your medications. You're going to want to make sure that you have enough of your medications. Now, I'm not anybody, I don't take medications. I take vitamins, herbs. There are people on the internet who are masters of herbs. There are some that have reversed lifelong medicated conditions by using herbs. So if you can't stockpile enough medication, you may need to start thinking about, okay, I have this condition, and really start researching how you can overcome that condition without medication. I get sinus infections very easily. That means I need antibiotics all the time. Well, if there's no way to get medications, I got to figure out a way to deal with it. Well, garlic. I get garlic tabs. I can grow garlic. Garlic's easy to come by. So garlic, it takes care of infections, my sinus infections specifically. The other thing you're going to want to think about is how to make your own soaps possibly, or have a stockpile of soaps and shampoos, toothpaste. You can use baking soda for toothpaste. So these are the things that will help you become more self-sustaining in the hygiene area. If you don't have a lot of water, you're going to want to think about how you're going to keep your hands clean without using a lot of water. Maybe put a sink of water, or a bowl of water to the side where everybody can come in and wash their hands in a bowl of water. It's not the most hygienic. Now, finally, water is the last thing I want to talk about. If you can't get water, your city water stops, you're going to have to figure out a way to get water. Of course, we have a well, so I don't have any worries of ever getting water. But you could start a rainwater collection catchment system. There are YouTubers out there all over the place that can catch their own water, have plenty of water. There's information on how big of a surface area, like your roof, and how much rain you get in your area. Some of your water needs you could get from a stream. I have a Berkey that you could put stream water into. Of course, that clogs up the filter pretty quick, so consider that. But you can sterilize water, you can boil it, put it through the Berkey. I have a filtration system where I can filter it. Or if you have a natural spring somewhere, we have a natural spring just down the hill from us, I could collect water from that. So think about water sources. So I hope I can inspire you to think maybe something could go wrong so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.